Welcome back, friends. I wanted to go over how to use a fill blanks question. A fill blanks question is something that you want to use if your question requires more than one answer. That way you can provide more than one space in order for them to type that answer in. If you have a sentence that asks for only one blank to be filled in, then short answer would probably be a better question type for that, because then you have the opportunity to accept alternate answers much more readily. You can just add more blanks and type those in. But when you have something that has to have more than one blank in it, like for instance this one, I needed to put the directions for all of these with all of these. This is one problem in my logic textbook or my student workbook. And it says, in the following argument, identify the premises and the conclusion by writing either P or C in the blank provided. And it should be obvious that P stands for premise and C stands for conclusion, since this is a logic class. That should be a logical observation. So what you want to do, and I'll show you, let me take my answers out. And I'll show you that the number of blanks that you have in place is going to give you the number of blanks below. So by default, you get 1, right? Because it just assumes, okay, well, they're going to have at least one blank. So the system gives you 1. But whenever you type at least 2 underscores, it starts matching it up with the number of fields you have. So I'm going to put a blank under here, and I just do 3 or 4. Especially if it's just one letter that they have to fill in the blank. If it's a bigger word, then I might give it a longer line, but that longer line doesn't necessarily make the field longer. It just makes it to where when they start typing, it expands, if that makes sense. And when I type the blank for this one, now you can see my field open up, right? So now I have 2 fields. If I do the third one, now I have 3 fields. And now it's my responsibility to match up these fields in order to the answers in order. And I have it in my book, and it'll be a P and a P and a C. That's the answer to A and B. And it's important that you don't accidentally check accept answers in any order, because then that means that they could put whatever they want here. They could put CPP. Well, all men are mortal is not a conclusion, it's a premise. So that would be wrong. So don't check this box when you use fill in the blanks, okay? Unless you are asking for a list of things. Let me give you an example of that. I could say list 2 types of statements, okay? And then I could have a blank here, 1, 2, 3, or however many, and then I just make this one match. And the 2 types of statements are premise and conclusion. Now, what if the student, let me actually spell that correctly. What if the student decided to type conclusion first? When you have this, we're just making a list, then you want to check accept answers in any order, because if the student types conclusion here and premise here, they're still right, but the system will mark it wrong because it's not in the right order. So if you're doing a list, check accept answers in any order. It's important that when you type, when they have to match up to a specific one, that it's unchecked. And it's important that whenever it doesn't have to be matched up to a specific question, that you check this here. That way, the system will just look for both of these words, and if it finds this word, it will mark it right. And if it finds this word, it'll mark it right, and it won't care about what order it's in. So those are some things to think about whenever you're creating your modules and you want to use fill blanks. Fill blanks is specifically for when you have more than one answer necessary in a question. Okay? And that is all I wanted to go over for fill in the blanks.